Hello, everybody. How are you all? I am sure that you all are doing well. And in this video, I am discussing the chapter Breathing and Gases Exchange for Class 11 CBSE Board. So, this is the chapter 17. In fact, students, you have to remember these very important aspects of this chapter. You are already aware of the important terms and the concepts of the respiratory system of the lower animals as well as in plants and also in mammals and that including human beings. So all these chapter, the chapter of respiratory system you have been studying since your earlier classes. So in class 11 you have to remember the very very important aspects in a little detail, like the breathing process, that is having two parts, as you know, inhalation and exhalation, or inspiration or expiration. So this is the breathing part, and the other part is cellular respiration that you all are aware of. That is the process of cellular respiration means that the breakdown of glucose in presence of oxygen mainly in the cells so that they get plenty of energy, and for continuation of all metabolic processes energy is essential, energy is must, that you all know. So this cellular respiration is so important, students, as you all know. Now in presence of oxygen, when it is happening, a good amount of energy is released in the form of ATP. But sometimes a lack of oxygen is also there. So, but this energy release has to be there. So this is called the anaerobic respiration in the lack of oxygen or in absence of oxygen. So here there is a little difference between plants and animals. Otherwise, cellular respiration is almost same. In anaerobic respiration in plants, what will happen? The breakdown will be there of the glucose, but the other thing which will be released in plants is the alcohol. So in yeast, anaerobic respiration takes place, and the ethanol or alcohol is used, in a very massive way in the beverage industry. And in animals, whenever there is a lack of oxygen or absence of oxygen, so the respiration will continue. So that is the anaerobic respiration. It will be a very low grade of energy that will be released, and along with energy, lactic acid will be released. So these points you have to always remember, students, in this class. So lactic acid, when it accumulates, cramps are there in the legs when you are doing, excessive work with your legs or hands, like that is the physical activities, running or exercises, etc. So there sometimes you feel cramps because of the anaerobic respiration which takes place, because sufficient quantity of oxygen is not available at that particular point of time. So anaerobic respiration starts. So students, the question is availability of oxygen. So how this oxygen can be available? So for this, breathing is there in animals, in mammals, and in that is in man also. But in plants, availability is easy because there are pores in the different parts of the plants. Number of parts are involved in respiration, in cellular respiration in plants. So extra or in any additional process is not required. Like on the leaves, stomata is there, so air can enter through the stomata. And in the stem or in the bark, lenticels are there, which are also small pores. So air rich in oxygen can enter through the lenticels. And the uppermost layer of the leaf, that is cuticle, there are pores in the cuticle also. So air can enter through cuticles also. So this is the cuticular respiration. So three ways are there mainly in plants. And in lower animals also, through the skin, like in earthworm, through skin only oxygen can enter, air can enter. In insects, sparacles are there, little spores are there, tracheae is there. So in amphibians, initially it is the gills, and then it is the lungs in the adult frog, and in fishes also their gills are there. So the different organs are there, but the system is not complicated. It is simple system. Because these organisms themselves are very simple, right? But in animals, in higher animals, in mammals, in man, the simplicity is lost. The processes are so advanced. All these metabolic processes which are taking place need huge amount of energy. And since we are warm blooded, our temperature does not change with that of the atmosphere or environment. So we need some extra energy. I am talking about the human beings and the warm blooded animals. We need more energy. So for this, aerobic respiration has to take place. The cellular respiration has to be aerobic. So that is why adequate quantity of oxygen has to be available, so that we get 38 ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate, which is the source of energy. And that only the metabolic processes, all these systems in the body can be continued. Okay, all these life processes. So now, how this oxygen can be available in mammals and in man, for that matter? So there is a separate system, which is the respiratory system. So breathing is a part, and cellular respiration is of course the same in plants and animals. So the same process, but breathing, what is breathing? You have to remember the inhalation and exhalation. So inhalation means when we are taking air rich in oxygen, that is inhalation, and when we are exhaling air rich in CO2, okay, that is exhalation. So these are also called inhalation and exhalation. Right? Now we have to understand these processes of inspiration and expiration. So when we are taking air rich in oxygen, and what is happening? It is entering the nasal cavity, and from the back of the nasal cavity, pharynx is there, the common passage is there, and then after the pharynx there, what is there? Larynx is there, and from the larynx the windpipe is continuing, and it is also called the trachea, and it is having half-shaped or C-shaped half rings made of cartilage, so that it does not collapse. Okay. Now what is happening? This trachea is going very close to both the lungs. Okay, and then this trachea is now being divided into branches. That is one in the left lung, one is the right lung. That is the bronchus. So in commonly it is known as bronchi. So this bronchus again divides into smaller branches, which are known as the bronchioles. And bronchioles, at the end there are small sacs, air sacs, which are the alveoli. So actually the gases exchange are taking place through these alveoli when the adjacent capillaries are containing blood. So what is happening here? The air rich in oxygen is diffusing into the blood, because the oxygen is in higher concentration. So from higher concentration it is going into its lower concentration, that is diffusion into the blood. So mainly it is diffusion by which the oxygen is going into the blood. So this is the inhalation, how the oxygen is going into the blood. Right? Now these capillaries are there in the lungs are full of capillaries, students. So like this the gases exchange is taking place during inhalation. And from the blood only CO2 diffuses in the alveoli, because here CO2 in the blood is in higher concentration, so it goes inside the alveoli, which is then exhaled through the exhalation process. So this is how we are, gases exchange is taking place in inhalation and exhalation. So it is mainly diffusion. The oxygen is diffusing into the blood from the alveoli, and the CO2 from the blood is diffusing into the alveoli, which is exhaled out. And now what is happening during this process, that when the air is going through the trachea, then when it is being inhaled, how it is easily done, because the ribs are also helping in this, because the lungs are inside the rib cage, so the external intercostal muscles of the ribs are contracting, and what is happening is the diaphragm on which the lungs are resting, the diaphragm is generally dome shaped, so it is becoming flat, straightened. So when it is becoming flat, the pressure gradient inside will what will happen to the pressure gradient, because it is the matter of pressure gradient only inside the lungs vis-a-vis atmospheric pressure, inside the lungs as compared to the atmospheric pressure. So this is the pressure gradient. So when the volume of the thoracic cavity, volume inside the lungs has increased, then this pressure gradient will decrease inside the lung. So pressure inside the lung will decrease when compared to the atmospheric pressure. Then what will happen? The air will be easily taken into the lungs, because there the volume has increased but the pressure gradient has decreased inside the lungs as compared to the atmospheric pressure. So air will be easily inhaled, right? Similarly, when exhalation takes place, what will happen? The diaphragm will come back to its normal position, okay, dome shaped. So volume of the thoracic cavity will decrease and the pressure gradient will increase as compared to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so now the intercostal muscles of the ribs which had contracted will relax. So along with the sternum, it will help the air to be driven out very easily. So exhalation will take place. So this you have to understand what is happening in inhalation, what is happening in exhalation during breathing, right? So inhalation, the dome-shaped diaphragm will become flat. The volume inside the lungs will increase. The pressure gradient inside the lung will decrease as compared to atmospheric pressure. The external intercostal muscle of the ribs will contract, so that will help the air rich in oxygen to enter the lungs very easily. So inhalation will take place very easily, and in the reverse will happen when during the exhalation the lungs will the diaphragm will become dome shaped again. So the inside the lungs the volume will decrease now, and the pressure gradient will increase as compared to the atmosphere. So the air will be easily driven out. That is exhalation. So this you have to remember very, very clearly, student. And in my next video, I will discuss about the other portions of this chapter. Is very, very interesting about the tidal volume, about the respiratory volumes and capacities of the lungs. Okay. So the tidal volume is TB. That is TB. The tidal volume normally how much we can inhale, exhale. So it is approximately 500 ml, and a healthy man can inspire or expire approximately 6,000 to 8,000 ml of air per minute. During a normal respiration, how much can be inhaled or exhaled or inspired or expired? It is about 500 ml. In a minute, it is 6,000 to 8,000. Like this, there are other terms like tidal volume, residual volume, this tidal volume, the residual volume is there, which are very important. Some other terms. So, and the actual exchange of gases I will discuss in my next video. So, till then, goodbye and thank you very much. God bless you all.